Okay, so just in this last part, I just want to kind of pull things together. We started by talking about the connection between what's happening inside churches and what's happening outside them by looking at the issue, the ritual, if you will, of the Eucharist. And part of my focus is to see how the Eucharist is really a borderlands of its own, where heaven and earth really meet, and how the altar in particular is a space where we can understand the migration of God and our return migration to our homeland. So I just want to sort of summarize a bit of that and then look at it in light of the liturgy of Lampedusa, and then we're going to open up to some final questions and comments. So, as we look at the issue of global migration, so we're going to kind of come out again. We're kind of going into a little bit more deep dive theologically and spiritually. We're going to come out again a little bit here. But if you look at the outer migration again, there are a lot of routes that migrants are using. This is a bit of a summary between some of the major migrant routes that are going through Central America to the U.S. as well as in Asia and Europe. So, but to focus this a little bit more in terms of Lampedusa, you can see some of these tracks coming up here, but off the northern coast of Libya, especially during the Arab Spring, folks were aiming to get up into Italy. Now, sometimes they were forcibly, literally sent into the waters by Gaddafi to flood Europe with migrants. Other times they're being pushed because of human rights violations, collapse of governments, and actually in a similar way kind of looking for better lives on the north. So these routes are often thrown into these boats, like this. Literally 600 or 700 packed into these boats. You can see with this amount of people, sometimes they don't have any navigation equipment, they don't have like GPS systems or anything like that. Oftentimes the smugglers themselves will just point to migrants and say, here, you take these north. They can be stranded on these boats for 2-3 weeks at a time. Sometimes bodies are just thrown overboard when people die. And if there's too much shifting, what happens is these capsize the boats. So often what is just left of these boats is just remnant driftwood. We know of at least 5,000 that died last year in these waters. Right now, 18 or 1,900 died in the Titanic and but over 5,000 died last year. Most people didn't know anything about it. This is a, I don't know if this is going to work. Anyway, if you can actually just take a look at this. You can just point to the slide there. Actually, if you take the pad there. Yeah, and just move that down a little bit. Move the thumb point down a little bit. You see it? Yeah. Just pull down into this. I'm going to just show you. See if this is going to work here, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. So anyway, this is the story of one boat that actually crashed upon the shore of Lampedusa, and the survivors. Some of the village people came quickly to the rescue. If you actually, you can just watch this. You won't be able to hear the sound, but you can just see a little bit here. Of the boat. So that here you can see the villagers actually helping a boat that they had intercepted off the waters of Lampedusa. And in the early hours of the morning, the villagers came to this area, and they literally saved some 500 or 600 people that were on this boat. So this was a tremendous success story of a group of migrants that crossed over, but luckily were saved. Now, I'm going to come back to this because that's the boat right there. And that's the people in the village saving people on that boat. Now, right on the coast here, Lampedusa, there is what's called the Door of Europe. So this is the Door of Europe because this is where the migrants aim to get to. And if they get on this island, they're essentially in Europe. But this boat is rather significant. But when many of these boats capsize and the migrants fall off them, or they wash up on the shore, one from another, or they're intercepted, they end up in what's called a boat graveyard. So this one carpenter here on the island, his name is Franco Tuzio, is from Lampedusa. Again, it's only 8 square miles, only a couple thousand people live on the island. And he over time, he kept kind of taking bodies out of the water. These bodies would wash up on the shore. And one day he said there was an earthquake in the central part of Italy, and 324 people died. And so there's a lot of media attention. They had public rituals, masses, flags were flown at half-staff, they had, stores were closed, dignitaries came, and big public rituals and masses and so on. But those same days, there was a boat that capsized off the coast of Lampedusa. 330 people died. But no one even noticed. There was no media, there was no attention at all. They were literally nobody. And so he was disturbed by this contrast between what he said, people who died first-class deaths and people who really had, no class at all, and they simply weren't even remembered. And so he was depressed and agonized and trying to figure out what to do with this all. And so he said for a long time he didn't know what to do. But when this story came, this was the boat in which they saved the people that were on the boat, he said it was a success story. And the boat for him, normally the red driftwood was a symbol of death, but this boat was a symbol of salvation. It really had saved everybody on the boat. So he took up pieces of driftwood from this boat, and eventually, though, however, when the boat crashed against the side of the rocky coast, it began to break up into a number of pieces. They found out that there, in fact, were 3 people that did die underneath. So what was a symbol of salvation then became a symbol of death. And so he started making crosses from these boats, and that began a series of processions all throughout the area and later throughout Europe. So these are the graves of the 3 people who eventually died. There was like an Arimathean grave that people went where these migrants were buried. But Franco never stopped thinking about how to remember these migrants that had died. So it turns out that Pope Francis, shortly after he was elected, in the summer after he was elected, there was a story about one of these boats that was crossing through the waters, and the boat capsized, and most of the people drowned because they couldn't swim. But 7 of them survived, and they survived by clinging onto a fishing net which they found in the middle of the ocean. And the fishermen in the distance could see them. And when they saw them hanging onto their nets, instead of saving them, they actually severed their nets and cast them to die in the ocean depths. So Francis was so moved by this that he actually, within 8 days, visited the island of Lampedusa. All his advisors said he can't do it, they weren't ready, the security wasn't there, he didn't want to make this into an ecclesiastical circus, so he didn't want any dignitaries there, he didn't want any fanfare, but he wanted to remember these migrants. So the island had 8 days to prepare for this mass. So Franco actually took some of the driftwood from these boats, and he crafted, you can see some of you brought this out earlier, but Franco actually made 3 cups for me. One of these was for Cardinal Mahoney. So if you've seen Cardinal Mahoney use one of these cups before, it's definitely not that one, it's one of these 2 cups. I know he's been using this around here, and he took actually from this driftwood. So these are pieces of a capsized boat from the Mediterranean. This is the carpenter who made it, but this is also the carpenter who made the chalice for the Pope when he came. And so this was, he made the altar. His crozier was made of a wave that had fish on it and a harp, and then he had, can't really see it here, but there are kind of 2 bread loaves on it. The lectern, as I mentioned, was made from the oars of these boats with the ship's wheel. But the symbol of the mass, I think, one of the harder is the symbol of the chalice. So the pastor of the parish came to him and said, we have to prepare for the mass when the Pope comes. And they said, I need your help doing it. Can we use this chalice? He had made this chalice some years before from this boat that we saw that crashed against the waters. So this wood was from that boat that we looked at a moment ago. But he said, can we use this chalice? And so he says, no, I have a special attachment to this chalice. And he says, I really don't want to let this go. And so he said, well, why don't we actually just include it as a choice among a number of choices, and then the Pope can make that decision. So he reluctantly said yes, but they sent him 4 pictures. And he says, and eventually the Pope picked that one, and he said, I knew that was going to happen. And so he picked this chalice, and so again, through this encounter with this, if you are interested in kind of more in-depth in this, so in December there'll be an article coming out called Cup of Suffering, Chalice of Salvation, Migration in Lampedusa and the Eucharist, which is coming out in Theological Studies. But it tries to look at the significance of this chalice. But what's rather striking is to look at this connection, also to the Eucharist. So here's Bishop Buchanan's giving the Eucharist to people on the other side of the fence in Mexico. But some have referred to the U.S. border as an American Lampedusa, as well. But I just want to summarize these points because I think in the end, as we look at this long arc of the day, which is looking at the question of otherness, but also how the Eucharist really calls us to really acknowledge and work towards oneness. The first is looking at the global refugee crisis. So we've looked broadly at the global refugee crisis, its numbers, its statistics, its scale, its scope, its importance, its complexity, and its challenges. But we've also tried to look at, one of the things that the Pope did in Lampedusa was to name the globalization of indifference. He says the problem with today is that these people die and we feel like we have no connection to them. So the really deeper sickness is manifested in really not being able to feel. If we can't weep, if we can't cry for mothers who've lost their children and have died in these kinds of ways, then something has died within us, something of our heart's been deported. So we spoke about the globalization of indifference, but then it's also pointing to something that John Paul II really named, which was really the globalization of solidarity. So I think we tried to name in the last part how this kind of long arc of relationships and building right relationships is really meant to see our interconnection with each other, which is trying to get us to a place of globalization of solidarity. So, but finally, I just want to kind of say that how do we come to a Eucharistic vision of migration? And that is really looking at, sometimes paying attention to these narratives and looking at what I would call the journey of the nobodies, literally those who are seen as nobodies, and they literally, they die without recognition, oftentimes even in graveyards in San Diego. For a period of time, you can go to Holtville, California, down by Calexico. That area, there are graves that literally just say, no olvidado, no olvidado, no olvidado. But I mean, they're just simply, it just says John Doe on their headstones. The humanitarian groups that put crosses on these graves, and Enrique Moronis and others, there's humanitarian groups in this area that are trying to sort of recognize who these people are and to remember their names. And there's even projects that are going on in Texas and others where sometimes all they find is the bones of these migrants that died in the desert. They have no documentation on them because they don't want to be identified if they do get caught by the Border Patrol. But when they die in the desert, there's nothing to identify them except their bones. So forensic scientists have been actually working on these kind of binational or global projects where they're trying to connect the DNA of those bones of people in those sending countries that are looking for those that are lost and haven't heard from them. So they're trying to really, through DNA matches, to basically identify them and to get them proper burial. And so it's to kind of sort of to bury the dead, which obviously is a work of mercy as well. But the first thing I think Francis brings out is the journey of the nobodies, and to trying to sort of name the dehumanize journey that they really do live in. Secondly, is recognizing that the reason why they're migrating is because there is a struggle to become somebody, to literally, and not just to become somebody famous, but to actually sort of realize that an intrinsic dignity that can only be possible by having the sufficient conditions necessary to live a decent life. And so I think the reasons for the migration might be for security, might be for just food for their children or their families, or might be to just have something beyond just the subsistence which characterizes their life. Thirdly, I think the Eucharist brings out that when it's used with a refugee wood like this, is that there is a connection to everybody. But in some sense, it's not just us and them; it's just somehow all of us. And that it brings out that there is some fundamental bond that we share, even if we can't quite tangibly see it in different ways. But I think the Eucharist is trying to say that they are us. Just think about yourself. How does this register with you? And the last here is really looking at what is their relationship to the body of Christ. Now, this raises questions that I'm not, feel like I'm even thought through or get through. But what does this mean when these folks are Muslims and all the other kind of stuff? Well, these are questions that can be asked. But I think what Francis is saying is somehow there is a connection here, regardless of how people come to this, because somehow, if Christ is in the last and the least, and somehow that Eucharist is saying that Christ is united with their struggle. And interestingly enough, Augustine lived not far from Lampedusa. He lived on the African coast, not far from Lampedusa. And he had this image where he says that it's only through basically hanging on to the driftwood of the cross that we make our way through the sea of this world, ultimately to our homeland. And so it's just, there's lots of ways in which we can think of the Eucharist as a way in which God plunges into, literally, the vulnerability of our existence in order to save us and to bring us home. So these are all kind of a way of trying to think about our faith in the age of migration, to think about our journey to our homeland, to think about, as we journey to our homeland, think about those who are journeying today, especially those whose lives are threatened. And to recognize that if we are to kind of really reimagine migration today, maybe there is another way of understanding the Department of Homeland Security. Maybe there is a new narrative that can be scripted that isn't just about enforcement, but maybe one that kind of really looks at development. One that says that the ideal world again is that people don't have to migrate, that they can stay in their homelands, and that we can look at human development where people are from, and that means jobs, that means businesses, that means people staying where they are, so that their lives can develop. That's really dealing with the root cause of it. But as we wait for that to happen, we recognize that the cornerstone of Christian virtue is really organized around hospitality, and that the greatness of our lives is measured by really the extent of our welcome. One of the things I learned in Coachella again and again is that which transformed people was creating an environment where there was hospitality. And when you can feel welcome and acknowledged and valued for who you are, and this is very human, this isn't just limited to migrants, this is everyone. If you find those contexts, that's what really humanizes us, heals us, makes us whole, connects us to other people. And so all that is a way of bringing us back to the Mass at the border that says somehow that Mass is about creating these networks of relationships where it's not us and them, but we are all in this together. And that we're all to help each other in that return migration home. So before kind of just having some kind of conversations together and questions, I just want to end on the long arc of what I did in the last part of this section, was to talk about this story in Ceuta, in the Spanish colony in the Moroccan coast, where I was with these 3 refugees who had journeyed all the way to Africa and were trying to get to Europe. But anyways, when I kind of mentioned this kind of stuff about theology and migration, I wasn't quite sure what they would say. After I was done and sort of took a breath and talked about the God who migrated to us and our return migration to God and so on and so forth, that was kind of like I felt this moment, okay, it's out there right now, and who knows whether it will really speak to the migrants. I've done my best to listen to the ground roots of the academy, but on the other hand, it doesn't really speak. So I felt this kind of naked moment when I was kind of out there, and there was like this pause. And then I'm like, I wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be, but I remember Emmanuel, though, was the most helpful because, at one point, what was important was not just what they said or how they reacted, but also what they didn't say. I mean, they didn't say, hey, those are really good ideas, and I hope you get those published in a peer-reviewed journal article someday. But what was important for me at the end of this was, in the end, they didn't even look at me. But Emmanuel got up from his seat and he just looks right up to the sky and he goes like this. He goes, "Yay, God!" He says, "I can't believe you do that for me." And then it's like a light went on. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I'm doing this. Because there's long, lonely hours that come to this kind of thought process, And so then I realized that what I was doing is really what I've been trying to just share with you today is just some reflections on the 4th chapter of the Gospel of Gospel of Luke, where Jesus says, "I've come to proclaim good news to the poor, sight to the blind, liberty to captives, and a year of favor from the Lord."